This is the Hentai Happy Podcast.
It is man-made. Brotherhood.
In what seems to be another tasteless move by Nintendo, the finals of the Splatoon 2 tournament have been cancelled due to a silent protest brewing in the ranks of solidarity between two communities. To give you a bit of background on the happenings, initially spawning a long Smash Bros. Melee tournament tradition that has been held annually for the past 2 decades, players would compete against each other on Nintendo Gamecube platforms in person, similar to fan-favorite fighting game Festival Evo. However, due to circumstances arising from a certain mischievous viral disease circulating worldwide, this year's Smash Bros. Melee tournament would be impossible due to strict governing mandatory protocols that don't even seem to be followed by the ones who make and impose them, which require people to isolate themselves from each other. Given the latter, tournament organizers found a way. Life finds a way to overcome the hardships of the predicament in order to successfully proceed with the event. How, you ask? Via the power of a Nintendo Gamecube emulator. That's right, the emulator has a plugin through which users can connect to a private virtual online server which will simulate multiplayer mode for the game and enable players from across the globe to connect and compete from the safety of their own homes, lending to a sort of online expose of fighting tournament goodness. And who, may I ask, doesn't like that? I'll tell you who. Yoo-hoo! Nintendo. Nintendo states that modifying or manipulating hardware or software is considered a form of cheating and is not in favor of the intellectual property of Nintendo and, of course, the consumer's best interests. Whether or not they believe their own claims or are just doing this to keep the Switch Smash sales meaningful remain to be seen. But I can tell you that Nintendo was one of the driving forces in Japan to curb console hardware modification for claims of enabling cheating by making hardware and software mods illegal by law. As such, people who didn't even dabble in cheating and focused solely on creating a favorable experience for consumers with upgrades to their technology were struck down with an iron fist, garnering fines leading to bankruptcy and the eventual closure of their place of business. A popular example was one Katsukity, the man who popularized the HDMI modification upgrade for a Nintendo 3DS, allowing Twitch streamers the freedom to digitize their dual-screen happenings directly to their video capture utility and display it on the broadcast without having to resort to a camcorder directly pointed at the user's 3DS as they play the console between their hands. Look, Ma, no hands! In light of the latter flow of situations, it is no surprise that Nintendo decided to shut down the tournament with a cease and desist, while threatening legal action if tournament organizers did not comply. Nintendo, unfortunately, has a track record for winning silly cases of this nature in the court of law, where common sense is thrown out of the window and output ingenuity is frowned upon. Cough, cough. Shigeru Miyamoto. Given such a bizarre scenario putting a damp blanket on the Melee community, the disappointment was felt in neighboring sister collectives as well. So much so that the Splatoon 2 community decided to name their finalist teams Free Melee and Team Melee, to which Nintendo took great offense and decided to shut down their tournament as well. Remind you of anyone? Oh yes, very reminiscent of Blizzard and Activision, coincidentally, around this time last year. The censorship woes are spreading. When PlayStation started censoring their games, Nintendo came out and said they didn't believe in censorship in what was once thought to be a pro-consumer move. But you know, and I mean, you know, how Nintendo operates. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it informative, like, comment, share, and subscribe. If you'd like to support this channel, you may do so at patreon.com/hentaihappy or streamlabs.com/opigame. This was Hentai Happy. Catch ya in the next one. I mean, what can you expect from a company that denies the existence of a blatant hardware defect in the Joy-Con drift and gaslights you time and time again? The entity itself is a sort of partisan in an abusive relationship. Hide the knives, man. Good night, good morning, and good evening. This is Hentai Happy here, and I'm reporting to you live today. Just kidding, I'm not live. But let's check out Story of Seasons Drymon, releasing tomorrow. Yes, good day. It is Hentai Happy, and I have some news